Blame, that's the easy part. But truth, that's harder. I saw an Al Jazeera documentary that shook me, but not because it exposed the truth, but because it distorted it. It blamed the entire manosphere for the tragic deleting of women in Kenya. And that's a dangerous oversimplification. We need to talk about this because when media chooses sensationalism over nuance, real problems get buried. Let's start. Fair use.
In Kenya in particular, one could trace some of the earliest manifestations of the Manosphere to 2006, to the evolution of what was called Development for Men organization, an organization that set itself up to champion men's rights.
What she's talking about is analogous to the men's rights advocates which were in the United States around the same time.
Under the guise of arguing that it was interested in looking at questions of violence against men. But on deeper interrogation of the work, you can see the combination of a dialogue around men's rights that is set in opposition to women's rights.
That's not just a throwaway line, that's a negative characterization without presenting any evidence. Saying that it's against female interests is a very broad statement. If you're at the negotiating table with somebody and they refuse to empty out their pockets and get nothing for it, then guess what? That's against your interest.
The Manosphere is not a Kenyan phenomenon. The flag bearer of online misogyny in the Anglosphere was Andrew Tate. In August 2022, he was shut down across.
Andrew Tate is not the Manosphere, and they're contradicting themselves. As they mentioned earlier, this goes back to the men's rights activists.
Tate's huge following online gave rise to a new genre of content. Influencers around the world who've emulated his toxic style. In India, there is Dev Tyagi.
क्योंकि अगर मेरी बंदी घर से बाहर निकली और उसने लड़कों से दोस्ती करना शुरू करा तो वो मेरी बंदी नहीं है मैं सीधा कहूंगा घर से निकलो.
In Greece, there is Michalis Balou.
Δεν υπάρχουν γυναίκες που απορρίπτουν, δεν υπάρχουν απλά γυναίκες οι οποίες δεν έχουν αυτό το οποίο ψάχνεις.
In Kenya, Eric Amanga, Amerix, tops the list of contributors to the Manosphere. We sent him an email request for his response to criticisms that he peddles in misogyny and hate speech against women.
They just painted an entire global network of male spaces with the same broad brush. They completely disregarded the fact that the manosphere is not a monolith. For example, in the United States, there's a black manosphere and a white manosphere, and it's not the same space. There's also levels to it. In some spaces, they try to be the least antagonistic to women possible.
There is a pattern to the factors behind the rise of the Manosphere. From New York to Nairobi, there are communities of men who have glorified outdated, traditional, or rather patriarchal systems.
Is it outdated, or is it actually chivalry and desirable gender roles? What exactly are we talking about? You can't just pick the parts of patriarchy that you want and give nothing back. That's called voiding the social contract.
The discourses pursued in the Manosphere actually contribute to the violence that we see that is targeted specifically as women.
This is the part that got to me. They just vilified an entire globe full of male spaces without truly engaging in the economic hardships, social breakdown, or complexities behind these tragedies. It was a hit piece, plain and simple. And worse, they used real lost lives as a political tool. Let's be clear, femicide is real and it's heartbreaking, but blaming it wholesale on the manosphere is like blaming rap music for poverty. As I said before, the manosphere isn't a monolith. Are there a few toxic corners? Yes, but there's also spaces for growth, fatherhood, and family advocacy. To pretend that it's all the same is dishonest.
Gender-based violence, femicide in Kenya has made global news recently. In September this year, Olympian marathon runner Rebecca Cheptegei was set on fire by her partner during a dispute over land. 2 other Olympic runners have been murdered in years past, stabbed and strangled to death. These are just the headline cases. Investigative news outlet Africa Uncensored has done a deep dive into femicide in Kenya, rising in the country. There's no clear link between online influencers and these specific murders.
Then what was the point of this hit piece? Did they consider cultural and class frictions caused by urbanization, tech shifts, and global inequality? These factors weren't just overlooked, they were erased. Instead, this documentary reached for the low-hanging fruit, online male influencers. Not policy failures, not family breakdown, not the erosion of trust between men and women due to decades of socioeconomic upheaval. Nope, just blame the manosphere, or as we like to say, just blame Jermaine. Instead of stopping the wildfire, some people rather blame the smoke. When the media packages grief for engagement, it loses its moral authority. Instead of mourning, they market it. Instead of analysis, they offer caricature. And here's something that's rarely said out loud. Al Jazeera is owned and operated from Qatar, a country that enforces its own deeply traditional cultural norms, especially around gender roles. Yet from that vantage point, they feel entitled to scold African societies like Kenya for not adopting Western feminist ideals fast enough. That's not just ironic, that's hypocritical. How can you promote one set of values for your own society and a completely different one for somebody else's?
But the Manosphere has made justifying violence against women acceptable for a significant segment of Kenyan men.
When media like this prioritizes ideological blame over real-world solutions, they don't inform, they colonize, and that kind of narrative war harms everybody. I'm not here to defend extremists, I'm here to defend truth. Male spaces should be held accountable when necessary, but they also deserve to be understood and not scapegoated. The Kenyan women who lost their lives deserve better, and so do the millions of men around the world who are trying to make sense of their place in it. We need honest conversations, not ideological witch hunts. If you value critical thinking over clickbait and real conversation over cancel culture, like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts below, because nuance is still alive over here.